Hello. My country is grey, wet, cold, miserable. Man, I love it. Days like this, I don't know, it just put me in a good mood. I like wearing jumpers, I like feeling cozy, I like sitting indoors. I think it makes me introspective too, apparently, because today I want to talk about artists and how I feel like we're too hard on ourselves. So it's gonna look like cack, but my words, I've got some good ones coming. Weird way to say that. Firstly though, I'll just want to say that my stubble looks fine, basically. Just fine, basically just in the everyday. And then when I put a camera on, it's like, oh, we're approaching homeless now. Some days I just, I wish I didn't have to have a head. Do you know what I mean? I know that's probably sounds strange, but you just look in the mirror and just think, oh, this again. Anyway, artists are way too hard on themselves. I'm speaking from experience, and I've talked to friends about it, and people I follow online whose work I really like. I've seen them just be way too hard on themselves too. I was talking to one of my friends recently about this, and we both agreed that there have been times where we have told ourselves that we're pieces of shit because we didn't want to work for like the 70th hour that week, you know? That's insane. I don't know where that thinking comes from, but it's pretty prevalent amongst a lot of artists that I know. Just the feeling that you're not doing enough. And I was saying to her that like a few weeks ago, I just stepped back and I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, this essentially is fun, and I'm making it harder and worse than it has to be, and I'm doing more than is expected of me. Like, I'm the only one that's expecting this of me, and I just had this realization. I kind of thought, like, I don't want to do this anymore. As in, I don't want to just work myself to the point of misery. My friend looked at me like she just had a realization, and she actually said out loud, oh, I've never thought of that. That's crazy. Lots of my friends who feel this way have a full-time job in some sort of creative field, and to come home and try and get yourself to work on your own stuff, you know, to sit back down at another desk after like commuting for however long and after doing a full day's work and expending most of your creative energy that day, it can be so difficult. And I guess this whole video, basically, I just want to say, if you fancy a lie down, have yourself a bloody lie down, you deserve it, you're doing very well, I'm very proud of you. You don't need to be so hard on yourself, man. It's crazy. Also, if you're ever in an art funk, and it's not going well, it doesn't make you a bad person. It has nothing, I promise, like nothing to do with your self-worth. And to think like, oh Jesus, I can't draw this cartoon mouse properly today, so that means I'm a piece of shit. Like, that's insanity, and you just try and be aware of it. You don't need to do it to yourself anymore. I am going to try to stop doing it to myself. I think I'll be happier for it, I'd imagine. Not thinking I'm terrible all the time. You accidentally tie it to who you are. It's not just a job. You sort of go, you start to like identify as an artist at a certain point, and I guess there's just weird thinking of like, okay, I'm an artist now. What do artists do? Well, I guess work themselves into the ground, it looks like. Oh boy, here I go. I feel very fortunate that I get to be an artist. Very fortunate that I stumbled across this thing that I love so much that I'm willing to do it forever and hope I get to, you know? I'm sure there are accountants who love their jobs. I'm just saying that if I was one, I probably wouldn't come home and just fucking do a bit of accounting for the crack, like, you know? I'd probably spend time with my family. Can you imagine? I get the urge to keep making things and keep improving and you know, maybe advancing your career, but you can work yourself to the point where you're barely eating and barely sleeping and not seeing any of your friends. And that's not good either, man. Balance is so important. Since I got home in May, I've been working on an animated short film that I'm making. And one of my friends asked me how it was going the other day. And I kind of pissed about in June. I was doing 2 or 3 hours a day, which wasn't really enough work to really make a dent in the kind of considerable chunk that I had left. And then I lost July. I lost it. I got a PlayStation. I just didn't do anything. And then I actually got a job in July as well, but it doesn't start until like two days time. So I had like 2 months basically where I knew I had something lined up and I had all this time that I could just focus on animating, which was great. Still am doing really like long days on it, and I've made a schedule now that I'm starting work again that I think is kind of manageable and I think I can stick to, and if I don't stick to it, it's not a big deal. I'm telling myself that now. My friend was like, fair play for, you know, forcing yourself to sit down and work on this thing, and I said, like, honestly, bit by bit that's just how things get done, you know? And I've been reminding myself of that for months, and it really works. It's really helpful, and I'm so glad. I'm kind of proud of myself that I've been using that, because I made a video where I talked about it in like May, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and you know, sometimes you make like declarations to the world, like I'm a changed man. Like a few months ago, I did a 7-minute workout like every day for one day. I did it once, and that day I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be the fittest dude. And then the next day I was like, oh, my stomach hurts. I'm literally never doing that again. I haven't done it since. So sometimes, you know, you have these really good intentions and they don't always work out. But the idea that things can be done bit by bit as a way to steel yourself for, you know, months of hard work ahead of you, I think it's really valuable. Some people who love it, but if I was an accountant, I probably wouldn't come on accountant. Let's not be quite so from Dublin. There's a few more letters in there. Letters.